Mm. Hey y'all, welcome to the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered call-in show. Have a seat. Let's get ready. You have any questions? Come on, call in. Come on to that Discord channel. Do me a favor, get the unfiltered crew some finger snaps. We're ready to get started here. Mondays, 8 p.m. Every single Monday, we're here. I'm excited about it. Are you? Let's get this show started, y'all. The greatest scrum show on earth. I'll see y'all soon. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. How are you today? This is Devon Morris. You are at the Unfiltered Call-In Show, or the Unfiltered Show, Unfiltered Call-In Show. I like to say them both, right? So welcome to another show. This show will be a little bit lightweight. We normally don't do a show during the week of the holidays, but in typical fashion, I forgot about that. So I'm on the show because I'm going to be here, right? So anyway, as usual, if you've been here before, you know how we work. Say hi, say what's up, drop, say hello in the chat, do all those great things because we're going to keep going. If you've been around, you understand how we operate in terms of the show. We typically go through a set of intros and then we go ahead and we go through the topic of the day. And then we open the floor for any questions that people may have. I'll provide the actual link so people can, I want to say phone in, but who does this anymore, right? Literally, who does this anymore, right? So anyway, the point is we're going to have a good time. You can see I'm not in the studio. You see that? I'm not in the studio, right? I'm actually, traveling. I'm around, seeing family, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm still going to jump on, even though I don't see family, but I'm still going to jump on because you my family. That's the point. You my family, right? So I just got to let you know that, right? If this is your first time here, I encourage you to subscribe, like the show. That obviously will help us out in terms of the YouTube and everything else. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That was at least was our goal at the beginning of the year. I don't know if we're going to reach it, but that's okay. We still going to go for it, right? Let's see. What's going on this week? Hopefully you all are having, for those that are in the United States, obviously this week is Thanksgiving. So hopefully you're having a lighter week. Hopefully it's a easy breezy thing for you. When I say to you, the last past 11, 12 weeks, I've been getting my butt kicked, right? The PhD stuff, right? I got A's in both my classes, so super happy about that. But man, it's been a whole thing to have to pick up my daughter, do all kinds. There's all kinds of things you got to do, right? So with family and stuff like that. So it's been good. I actually been putting up a wall. Been putting up a wall with all the little tiles on there. So I've been putting up that today. So I may be a little grimy. You might see some stuff on my face or something like that. Anyway, so make sure you say hello. I'm gonna give shouts out in just a minute. Today's topic is going to be giving thanks. I got some things that I'm going to talk about being thankful for. And if you're not thankful for the same things, then, we need to talk. We need to talk, all right? Let's see. Who's out here? Let's talk. Patrick, as usual, how you doing, brother? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your family's good. Hopefully you all are getting prepared for some holiday good stuff, right? Welcome as usual. Lillian, how's it going? Hopefully you are. I forgot to throw you all on here. So there's Patrick as usual. Here's Lillian. But that's it. Those are only two people to say hi to me. Nobody else want to say hi? Don't hurt my feelings. You're going to make this a very lonely week for me. I missed you. So why would you treat me that way? Anyway, I don't know. I don't want you to treat me bad, man. I don't want you to treat me bad. Don't treat me bad, man. Do not treat me bad. Hopefully you all can hear me just fine. I don't have my special mics. Hey, Evelyn, how you doing? How's it been going? Hopefully you're having a good week so far, right? Denise, what's going on? How you doing, Denise? How's it going? Hey, you know what? Hey, Chickman, welcome to the show. First time watching the show. I don't have my gong with me. Otherwise, I would gong since the first time you're watching the show. I hit the gong, right? That's going to become a tradition. I don't have the gong, so I'm actually pulling my phone so maybe I can find a gong. But welcome to the show. Come back next week, and I'm going to gong it for you, okay? So welcome to the show. Everybody, welcome. As usual, love having you here. Here's the deal. Let's talk about this, right? This is a week where we have the right to be thankful about lots of things. Now, look, let me tell you something. Whether you celebrate this upcoming holiday or you don't celebrate it, that is what it is, right? I'm not trying to, but here's the deal. There's some people that's not so thankful about this upcoming holiday, okay? For very obvious reasons, right? And I'm not saying you should be or you shouldn't be, but at least enjoy some time with your family, right? Regardless of where you stand at in this position. I just remember going through battles at school about this holiday, right? But anyway, make sure you enjoy family. Make sure you spend time with family. Spend time with people that you care about and love, right? That's always important. All right, so look, this week, let's talk about thanks. Giving thanks, right? I'm going to talk to you about a few things that I'm thankful about. And I'm going to see if some of you all can relate to what I'm thankful about. And it's going to be real simple. It's not going to be complicated, right? I'm going to start off at the very top, okay? I'm thankful for sure when I have teams that actually have sprint planning sessions where we are prepared. We have all the information that's ready to go. The product owner has refined the product backlog and put it in a position where we are spending minimum amount of time. So like spending an hour instead of 2 or 3 or 4 hours in sprint planning for a 2-week sprint. I am grateful. I give a whole lot of thanks to everyone that actually puts us in a position to be able to do that. I am also grateful for having daily scrums that take half the time. Now, you all know that the daily scrum is 15 minutes, but one, I don't want to be in a daily scrum at all. Matter of fact, according to the 2020 Scrum Guide, the Scrum Master doesn't have to be at the actual daily scrum, nor does the product owner. So I want to not show up to the daily scrum. So I am grateful when my developers can actually conduct that event without me and they're getting things out of that event. That makes me feel amazing because I may have to go in sometimes to help tweak it, to help out. I am grateful for reviews with stakeholders that are giving feedback, that are providing their thoughts, their ideas in terms of what's been presented. I am also super grateful when I have a team that realizes that the show, or when we go into the actual sprint review, it's not for us. It's actually for the parties that are joining us. We're there to really answer questions, facilitate that process of getting feedback, and it's all of our jobs to do that, and put those stakeholders in a position where they can have something amazing to talk about. Keeping it as a working session. I like to see all kinds of ideas just come to the table, and then us find ways to put them into places like into that product backlog and prioritize them accordingly, right? I really love reviews because I like when you get feedback. Just a little bit of feedback from them just to help us make sure that we're going in the right direction, because the sprint review offers some level of transparency. So I'm actually very grateful for the transparency that you get that you provide when you actually have a sprint review. And you know what? If you put yourself in a position, I am grateful when we're able to not just put a presentation up, I'm grateful when we're able to take whatever we built and actually put it in the customer's hands, right? Put it in the stakeholders' hands, right? Put it in the user's hands, right? I am always super grateful for that because I realize that if we actually put it in the customer's hands, put it in the user's hands, we probably gonna get way more feedback. So I'm grateful for all that wonderful and great and timely feedback that we get because this gives us an opportunity to inspect and adapt, right? So I like the opportunity to course correct, right? I'm also grateful for the sprint retrospective, right? But not just the sprint retrospective. I'm grateful when we come out with actionable action items. Like, I like coming out with 2 lists of action items, right? One that is about the team getting things and making things better, but actionable things, right? That can be done in a sprint or less, right? And then I'm grateful about when we have other things that we can escalate that we deal with within the organization, right? I'm grateful when I can step back and just facilitate that process. I walk away without having to do all the work. I walk away with the items that need to be escalated, right? I'm grateful when the team knows that they have items and they have prioritized those action items so we understand when we get into the next sprint planning, we might want to commit to getting some of those things done. See, for me, I look at Scrum as a gift. And one of the things that I learned from Ken Schwaber, which I'm going to pass on to you, and I remember the last time I had an agile meetup group that we used to run in DFW, and the last time we had it, like when we closed it out, the last one, Ken Schwaber showed up, right? And one of the things he said, which he normally says, he says, thank you. Because Scrum wouldn't be what it is today without you. So another thing that I'm grateful for is every single one of you that have taken Scrum and turned it into what it is today. I don't make Scrum as popular as it is. You all helped to do that. It is you all that present it out there. It is you all that are working there with customers, clients, to make sure that they understand or help them get a better understanding or help them to be able to generate value. It's in the actual Scrum definition. It's all about generating value with adaptive solutions. So I am grateful for these things, right? My question for you is I've given you a list of things just associated with the events, right? I can go down talking about the roles. I can talk about the artifacts. I can talk about the commitments. I'm grateful in those aspects as well. But I'm curious, when it comes to this agile thing, Scrum, Agile, Kanban, extreme programming, what is it you're grateful about? What is it you're grateful about? I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do something that I love to do. I'm grateful that I'm here able to talk to you. I'm really grateful about that. This right here is an honor for me. I mean, I'm like you see, I'm not in my studio, right? And I'm just like, this is something that I want to do. I want to have this conversation. I want to open this floor so we can keep that conversation going because I'm grateful for having the community here that includes you. There's no reason for me to be sad because I'm usually happy. And why am I happy? Because of all these wonderful people that are involved here, right? So, do me a favor. Throw in the chat some of the things that you're grateful about, that you want to give thanks for, right? Just type it in the chat. Talk to me about it. Let me go ahead and go out here real quick. Your Scrum team is demonstrating that they are self-managed. Yeah, man, I'm grateful about that. That's another thing I'm super grateful about. When I can actually get out the way, like when I can actually, you know how, like Carl, think about this, right? You know how you in sprint planning and you almost don't have to be there because the team knows what to do. They know how to do it. They know how to put themselves together so they can figure out how they're going to attack the situation, how they're going to go about solving a problem or delivering the value that is expected to be delivered, right? And you just kind of get out the way to some degree. And it almost runs by itself, right? Now, I love seeing that starting off in sprint planning. And then when you get out of sprint planning and you got to go and beg them like, hey, y'all ain't talked to me in a while. You ain't got no problems? I'd love to talk to you about some. I love for them to solve their own problems. I love for them to be as productive as they can. I love for them to self-manage. And it's a beautiful thing when you see it. It is an absolute beautiful thing, right? And so I am grateful definitely about the developers and them being able to self-manage themselves, right? I was having a conversation with people in the class. Like in the Scrum Guide, the Scrum Master doesn't have to show up to the daily Scrum anymore, right? And so people not being able to let go of the fact that they need to be there, right? No, you don't. If you're the Scrum, you don't need to be there, right? The question is, why do you feel like you need to be there? Because don't nobody else think you need to be there. Okay, so I love that self-managing aspect, man. So that right there is a thing I can't get around, right? So I got Greg here, grateful for the chance to help people create new and wonderful things. That's like delivering value, right? That's like value creation, right? Being able to deliver, create new and wonderful things is a big part of what we do. I like giving people those amazing experiences, right? Putting them, I mean, I remember talking in class the other day. When I think about Scrum, I think about Agile in general. I have this mantra, and the mantra is like when you are back in the day, when people used to say, hey, if you're going to start a business, location, location, location. And I always really think to myself, if you're going to do any kind of Scrum, any kind of Agile whatsoever, delivery, delivery, delivery. I usually say deliver, 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 right? And so I really think coming up with those new ways to solve problems is what is the spice of life, right? When you think about people, one of the things that motivates people is the ability to have some autonomy, the ability to have opportunities for net mastery, which means that those are usually associated with the creation of new valuable things that the users can get really engaged into. And so I absolutely love that one, Greg. That is a major one, right? Like I said, if you have any thoughts on that, what are you grateful about? I'd love to hear about it. Just throw it in the chat, right? Because it's just one of those things where, if I be real honest with you, I don't know what I'd be doing if I didn't have Scrum with me. Like, I've been doing Scrum since 2005. I kind of fell into it because somebody else. Like, I'll say this, right? I am grateful for the people that I've crossed paths with, especially people early on. So I wouldn't be involved in Scrum if my godfather had not gotten me involved. Tom Mellor, I tell you about the guy every once in a while, right? If he had not got me involved with Scrum, I would have not. And if I had not seen his example of what he was doing and the boldness that he had in terms of trying to change things, right? I'm probably in my late 20s, still didn't have the guts to really tell people the truth, right? I really didn't. I was more concerned about maintaining that job, and what Tom provided me was a real life example of how to approach, really trying to utilize Scrum and Agile in general to help change the organization and to go about that way in an altruistic manner. Where it's almost like I'm putting myself in a position where I'm sacrificing myself, right? I didn't learn that by just, I just did, that just wasn't something that just was born in me. I learned that through observing a gentleman do that, right? And so I'm grateful for the examples that have been set forth in front of me, right? It's just like my grandfather. I'm just like my grandfather because they raised me, right? And so in terms of that, I look at somebody like Tom, and the reason why I have the bold nature that I have is because of what I saw him doing, right? How could you, I remember being at State Farm with dude, you one person, man. This is what I'm thinking. You one person. Why are you trying to go change this whole company? They not going to listen to you. And they listened, ultimately. But it took some guts, right? And so I didn't have those guts, but I had an example. And that example is what helped provided me with part of that foundation for the guts that I need to have moving forward, that I utilize examples for many people. So, man, when I say to you, I'm super grateful about that. I remember Tom telling me, he said to me, look, hey, man, go to the Scrum Gathering. Now, the Scrum Gathering was in Denver, Colorado. I'm sitting up in Bloomington, and I drive down to Mississippi to go see my grandfather. And then I go over to, and I drive on over to, I drive over to, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, man. Now, I'm not saying anything to be negative here, right? Understand the point I'm making. I got stopped by the police like 5 times because they saw me with my brand, and I got stopped like 5 times, right? But I'm going to tell you something, man. I had to drive through Kansas, and it was the most boring thing I've ever done in my life, right? I mean, seriously. And this was back in the time when cell phones cost you by the minute. So if you stayed on the cell phone, it was a whole problem. And then I had Sprint, so it went out for about 6 hours. It was ridiculous. It was the most boringest time I ever had. But I made it to Denver, Colorado, nice and safe. I got a little family out there, enjoyed time out there, and I met great people. In terms of that, though, even going there, it changed me. It changed me, right? And so I'm really grateful for those experiences, right? Because those experiences have turned me into who I am today. You know, every little connection you make with people, every little nugget that gets dropped on you, the observations that you make, they can all have an impact on you, right? And so I'm really grateful for being able to cross paths with the stalwarts that I've had opportunity to cross paths with. And a lot of times I don't go have big conversations with people. I just observe. I'm really observant, right? I will take a look at people and I will learn from what they're doing just by watching, right? And so I'm really grateful about the people I've crossed paths with in this journey, because I get to do something I love, and I get to talk to people that's writing books and stuff like that. You know what? I'm gonna have to write a book. I keep telling myself I'm gonna have to write a book, right? If I write a book, though, it's gonna be crazy. I got a lot of stories to tell. You think so? I don't know. Yeah, I got a lot of stories to tell. What you thought? What you thought? I got a lot of stories to tell. It is true. So y'all, anyway, those are some of the things that I'm grateful for. Hopefully, you got tons of things that you're grateful for. If you think about the list of things that I just gave you, just associated with events, if those things aren't things that you're not experiencing with your teams, you need to change something. It's just that simple. This is why I would say to you, come on, talk to Bearded Eagle. We can help you out. But I'm not even going to say that to you. You need to do something about it. Okay? Because you, as a change agent, can help change the problem. You can help do something to change status quo. And it becomes your job to actually do that. And I'm not gonna I'm gonna say it this way. Don't even call me, man. Don't call me about it, right? Because most of y'all got the ability and you're scared to take that first step. Take that first step to make change happen, right? Our biggest enemy is status quo, man. Our biggest enemy is status quo. And unfortunately for you, you're probably gonna have to do something disruptive to change things. I'm not saying do something disruptive enough to get yourself fired, right? But small changes, right? Evolutionary changes stick. They actually last. In many cases, they last longer than revolutionary changes, right? So realistically, this is something I want you to move forward with. I want you, if you don't have gratefulness in all aspects of what you're doing in terms as a scrum master or as a person in a job that you're working at, then something needs to change. And we about to start a new year, people. We are really in November, right? We are in November. December's around the corner, right? And January's around the corner. We're about to start a new year. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not going into next year with all that nonsense. Not me. Not me. Anyway, you know I love y'all. That being said, I can't continue this show without opening the floor for questions, right? So you all know how this works. This isn't anything surprising. I haven't thrown the chat out the link out there, so I'm about to put the link in the chat. You're gonna find this link. I'm gonna place it on our YouTube channel, and you're gonna find that I'm gonna throw it also on our LinkedIn channel, right? So it's gonna be out there right now. If you want to join the show, you are welcome to click the link and come on and actually talk live, and I can answer any questions that you have. Matter of fact, here's the deal. I love to have questions. Well, I welcome questions. But what I would love to do is I'd love to hear about something that some of you all have that you're grateful to happen to you this year. Like something's wonderful and great happened to each one of y'all this year. There's no question. I'd love to hear about it and hear everybody else talk about it. Some of you all just got into Scrum. Some of you all got new jobs related to Scrum. Some of you all had different opportunities come up. I would love to hear about some of those things. And you're welcome to just type them in the chat. But if you have a question, type it in the chat. Or you can join the show in the link that I just sent you. Or you can come on the show and talk about the great thing. All these things matter, right? So you pick how you want to communicate, and we will go from there. Just know that any questions that you put in the chat, I'll do my best to answer every single one of them. But it will be obvious that anybody that comes online is going to get preference, right? So this is good. This is good. I'm really excited about. I'm just I just be excited for no reason. No, I'm not excited for no reason. I'm excited for all kinds of reasons. My excitement comes from the fact that I'm a good guy, man. And I try to do right by people. I really do. I try to do right by people. I really do. I actually told myself, man, I'm gonna have to do some hardship something for people. When we had the whole George Floyd thing happen, and then the pandemic happened, we did a whole set of Black Lives Matter classes, right? And we got probably 100 to 200 people certified for free, right? And we still have to fight that because people still think we running classes for free. We just can't do that. But the idea, though, is that I'm going to definitely probably carve out, maybe 10 seats or whatever it is for people that are having hard times in an upcoming class, and just cut the price in half or whatever. Just cut it in half, right? It'll be in half or close to in half, maybe 40% off, whatever. And then they can be good to go and have the opportunity to jump into class. So, hopefully y'all think that's a good idea, right? Yeah, I think it's going to be something I'm going to do. I've done it before. Normally it's a good response to it. And usually, like, at the beginning of the year is kind of when I do it. So I'm looking forward to actually doing it. I've had some really, really amazing results come out of that. I don't talk about them very much, but really, 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 really amazing results that come out of that, right? So I got Evie here, right, that says, grateful to be new to Scrum and being a part of the community. Well, Evie, welcome. Welcome to the community. And, one thing, man, I was talking to Beard Eagle alumni, right, that shows up at the show very often. And, she was telling me how the community is starting to do things with each other that don't have anything to do with me, right? And I want to see this community help each other out, whether it's a question here or something there or finding a job here or whatever it is, right, to help each other out, because the sum of all these parts will be far greater than anything I can do by myself, right? So I find that to be a majorly good part of this community. Also remember, Evie, every hour you spend here is a Scrum education unit. And you will need Scrum education units for your renewal process associated with Scrum Alliance. You might have another Scrum certification. But this right here helps you move in that direction. So it's always a welcome, Evie, for sure, okay? Let's see. I got Jennifer here, and Jennifer says, grateful for being able to walk again. Man, yeah. I'm grateful that you can walk. That's for sure, right? I have people who I went to high school and things like that that they can't walk in. You know, I this is a lot of information, but I'm gonna give it to you. My great grandmother, before she passed away, she was paralyzed from her neck down. You know, and I remember getting the opportunity to go take on a contract in a city where she was actually in a nursing home. And when I tell you, I took that with no problem, and I went and enjoyed some amazing time with her. I really, really, really am grateful for that, right? So I'm really grateful for you being able to walk again, right? You know, it praying to press forward and working scrum. Just keep pressing. If you trust me, if you were able to walk again and you did all that work to walk again, this scrum stuff is a breeze. This scrum stuff is a breeze. You should be able to do this with your hands tied behind your back with no problem, right? Almost with a blindfold as well on. So, just make sure you stick around the community. Make sure you just stay connected to us, right? And let us know how good it's going. But I'm so glad and grateful that you're able to be as mobile as what you need to be, for sure. I'm so grateful for advertising show of attitude gratitude. That's good. I learned that we ought to be grateful even for the little things. Be grateful even for the no's too. You know what? I like that. I like that, right? Yeah, Lizzie did that attitude gratitude thing last week, and it turned out really great. Jeff Sutherland showed up, and many, many other wonderful and amazing people. But there's a there's a beauty in the nose, man. Do you understand? I mean, understand the statement, right? I'm not saying that you want to get nose all the time, but there's a beauty in the nose, right? There's an absolute beauty in the nose. And it's one of those things, man, where every time I get a no, I know I'm one step closer to a yes. Every single time. Like, it could be my mind just being big about things, but every time I get a no, I'm pretty much one step closer to a yes. So I always enjoy that. I love it, right? I love it. And usually, if I get a no, hopefully I can get a little bit more than a no. Maybe that feedback can turn into something where I can improve and make something better, so then I have a better opportunity to get a no, a yes. You know, one of my sons had a really, really good yes after getting a ton of no's, right? Had a really, really good yes recently. And I'm so, so very proud of him because he's been trying to do this thing that he loves to do. And to get a yes is good. To have support and give him little things that help him to be able to position himself. Super amazing. And I got some other great news about him that in the past couple of days. So, I mean, I can't really complain, right? So, let's see. I'm grateful for my first Scrum Master job. Yes. Yeah. That first look, once you get that first Scrum Master job, it's on and popping at that point. Like you once you got the first one, nobody can tell you don't do Scrum. It just takes the first one. You get the first one, it's like easy breezy at that point. Everything becomes a little bit easier. Yeah, and I'm glad I'm glad that you kind of. I'm glad that you actually connected with us prior to the pandemic. Because prior to the pandemic, we were able to do classes in person. And in person, I mean, online is great, but in person, it was like really amazing in terms of the classes we would do because we could really bring energy and we really could see your faces. We really could play off for you within that environment. And I just always love public classes. I can't get around it. Love it, love it, love it. And it probably was, Evelyn, was it in Atlanta? Probably in Atlanta. Because we obviously done a lot of work in Atlanta, New York, Chicago, DC. We try to stay, at least me, personally. I try to stay in 2 time zones. I did not want to die from running around in all these different time zones, right? Nah, I didn't want to do that, so I try to stay only in two, Eastern and Central, and that's usually is about it. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm glad Jennifer is all right. I'm very happy for her as well, Patrick. So, and no thanks needed. Hopefully, your family is benefiting from this newfound freedom that you have with your ability to kind of get around, right? That's a good thing, right? So, it's just amazing. Oh yeah, Evelyn, that's very true. Yeah, Indianapolis. Yeah, we done. I've done so many. Matter of fact, Indianapolis always took good care of us, right? Because we probably my fourth or fifth class I did in Indy. So I mean, and it's people that I met in that first class. Like I remember doing it. Let me tell you what I would do, right? Let me tell you what's crazy, right? So what I would do, right? And I made this a part of what I do, right? When I would start talking about the actual Agile manifesto, right? I would go to one side of the room and start preparing myself to run to the other side of the room, right? Literally, I would do this like almost every class in the beginning. And so I would make it was almost like going to, you know those, what do you call them? Those churches that have the, I guess, prosperity ministry, the one where, it's about you thinking the right things and you gaining great stuff, right? And so you know how they have all these things happen. So I would queue up at a certain point. I would run across the room, right? That's what I would do in Indianapolis when I began. Don't ask me why I did it, but it's what I did. And I'm telling you right now, I got a few people to remind me about that. I do. My first class in Indy was like 10 people. I think it was on the weekend. We had a great time. It turned me into loving Indianapolis again and again and again. And I have to go to Indianapolis more often than what I want to now. Because I got to go there to go down to Bloomington, Indiana. Because I got peeps there, right? Okay. Grateful for life. Yeah. Yeah, I'm grateful for life as well. We have, family. That's a good thing. Friends, right? The Agile community. It's wonderful. Like Patrick, me and you have crossed paths in several meetings over time, right? Several events over time, right? And if I would have been going back to live events, I probably would have crossed paths with you a few more times, right? So that is just another one of those just good things. Just love it, man. I just love it. I love this community. I love everything about the community. Do I think the community was created this way on purpose? I don't, but I think sometimes just momentum happens, and then the community turns into what it wants to, what it desires, what its best shape and form is. And that's always a good thing to see, and I think that's what's happening in the Agile community, right? We just kind of good to go. And yeah, Patrick, I would say, yeah, we fam, man. I'd agree. I definitely treat you like a brother. No question about that one, right? So definitely treat you like a brother, and I look out for you. No question, right? I agree with that 10,000%. And there's many other people that I feel like are brothers or sisters for me, and I definitely will look out for them. They can give me a call, and we'll holler, and we'll talk, and we'll do things. We'll chop it up, powwow, right? So just major stuff. So I ask once again, anyone with any questions related to Agile, Scrum, entrepreneurship, those kind of things. This week I'm going to be working on actually the live event, and getting some information together on that. So more to come, probably after this holiday for sure. But really getting prepared to start pushing that moving forward. So it's going to be interesting. That 3-day event is going to be interesting. I plan to have that 3-day event in a way where just coming to the event, you get more than enough information to be able to move forward. Yeah. You can actually apply what we taught there. And if you want something deeper, then that obviously will come afterwards, right? So, it's just, I don't know. It's just I find nothing but goodness in this stuff, right? And so I'm just finding ways to be helpful, help people, and just smile on a regular basis, right? And not feel like I gotta go hide or whatever it is, right? So I just love it. So again, like I said, any questions about Scrum, Agile entrepreneurship, drop them in the chat, or you're welcome to come join me on the show. I dropped the link in the actual thing again. I'll drop it one more time to see to make sure everybody's good, and then this might be one of those early nights for us. We rarely have them, but sometimes we do, and if there's no topics to talk about, I'm never gonna keep you, as you all know, because you all have been around me more than enough. That's sure. That's very, very true. So yeah, I'll drop that in the chat again. I remember somebody told me they were scared to come online. They were scared to come on the show, right? Scared to come on the show live because they was nervous. You don't have to be nervous. We fam, right? Main reason why I do this and record this and do it on YouTube is so that we can have it available for other people to learn from. Yeah. And that would be a good thing. That'd be a majorly good thing, right? So nothing to really complain about on that one, on that front. So that's a good thing. Looking through, let's see. Do I see any questions from everybody here? Don't see much. Don't see much at all. Okay. Well, then this might be an early night for us. We don't normally have the show during the holiday week. We don't normally do that. And that's fine. But if you had any questions, I need you to drop them in the chat or just go ahead and have a conversation, right? How do you prepare for chaos like Elon Musk saga has a Scrum Master or Project Manager? Man, that is crazy, right? That's crazy, right? That whole situation with Elon Musk. Man, you know what I think? I think Elon Musk needs some executive leadership. I think he needs some executive coaching. But here's the question, Patrick, right? You look at Elon Musk and you look at, what he's, drastically going through, right? And what he's drastically trying to change, right? And the prior founder apologized to everybody for building the organization too big, too fast, like way faster than he should have, right? And you start saying to yourself, he's gonna put Trump back on, which I ain't got no horse in the game, so I don't care one way or the other. But you really think about it, what does Twitter have to offer? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. I heard he's gonna put Trump back on Twitter, and I'd imagine Trump caused Twitter to have way more people interacting, by that guy being involved. And so for me, if I was in that situation and I was in-house as a Scrum Master, after the letter that said, be prepared to work extremely hard, what I would probably do is I probably would be more hardcore about establishing Scrum as a way to help us manage the change that's going to be constantly happening. So they're already going through several changes, right? They've already had more than likely transformation after transformation, right? But here's the deal. When it comes to them as a whole, if I'm there at that organization, I would be trying to make sure that I'm collecting data and that I'm running the smallest sprints that I can run. Because things are going to be changing constantly. The problem that you have in this situation, Patrick, which I know you know this, is everybody at Twitter lacks right now psychological safety. And so when you don't have psychological safety, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? Lots of things that can happen. Obviously, studies show that when psychological safety isn't there, you get a lower retention rate, obviously higher turnover. Um, you'll find that even outcomes in general may be the same outcome, but it's a little less of that same outcome. So these are things that just happen. So I'm just like, the first thing that I would do, Patrick, in that situation, understanding that I'm staying there for all this torture that's about to happen, is finding a way to create psychological safety for people. That's it. I don't know how if you ever, like, I've been at an organization that went through a merger, like literally went through a merger and acquisition, right? And they were the company that was being merged. They weren't the company that was buying, right? And so, when you're the company that is being pulled into another organization, now you have to change all kinds of things about you. And a lot of people don't really want that change. Okay? So as I sit back, when I think about that situation that I had back in the day, we were doing great Scrum stuff. And even if it was just status quo, it immediately took a dip to the rock bottom because people didn't feel like they had a job anymore. People didn't feel like people were listening to them, right? And so now you add all these things together, then you get what? You get a bunch of people who are looking to leave, a bunch of people that are having problems and are super stressed out about everything that is happening. And so you have to, if you're the Scrum Master, assuming that you're going to stay there, assuming you're going to work through all this stuff, I'd be thinking about psychological safety first. And then once I got some of that in motion, then I'm going to think about other things that go along that can help with that. Like, a good example is I wouldn't want the team to be on a death march. So I have to also be concerned about constraints, right? Scope, cost, time in general. Those three classic strengths. So you just sit back and you think about it. Say to yourself, okay, constraints, not strengths. Okay, you have to think to yourself, if psychological safety is missing, what are you going to do to reestablish that? And when I saw it happen, it was a disaster. Everything fell apart. Everything fell apart, man. When I say everything fell apart, there was nothing. And one of the things about it, Patrick, is I remember trying to console people. I remember clearly trying to console people, and there's no way I can console people because, like, their pensions and 401ks were being impacted, right? So I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what's really going on here? It was a whole problem, man. So the first thing that I would say, man, to do is establish psychological safety. If you don't have psychological safety, if you don't create a space for that, you're just going to have lots of issues. I don't know how you get around it, right? Yeah, you're right about it, but his approach does not really create the space for you as a Scrum Master to create that. Yeah, I don't think Elon's gonna create it. I don't think that's gonna happen. But here's the question, right? I'm thinking to myself, his leadership style. His leadership style is probably more transactional. Not transformational. Probably more job oriented. But here's my question, right? Here's my question for that leadership style, right? I actually really believe, I'm curious. I'm really curious on whether that leadership style of him actually being more of a transactional leader is going to be more helpful for Twitter temporarily. Hear what I'm saying? They had a transformational leader, and look where they are now. They had a leader that was adaptive, a servant leader that did things for everybody. They had that. And look where they are now. And so I can say to you, one of the things is, and the reason why I say this is because I think about the military. The military isn't transformational leadership all over the place. There's a lot of leadership in the military that is purely transactional. Purely transactional. And they can be super effective still. And so understanding how to establish psychological safety is probably top thing you need to think about. You probably won't be able to do it, but it is something that you need to